So the best thing to do when you're making a new project like this is to take a good look at the plans and make sure you understand what the plans are showing you to do before you do it. There's 50 plus pages as part of this set, and we're going to start with the basic van shape itself. And in this you will see that there is this inner part and the two outsides, obviously, but the inner part is made up of 7 different sections, and these are each 1/2 inch thick. And if you'll look at the plans, the 1, 2, 3 on the outsides, 1, 2, 3 on this outside are exactly the same. The one in the middle is like that, except there's no seat. So what that will do is that will form the passenger and the driver's seats with a 1/2 inch with a gap in between the two. So it's a clever way of putting that together. So let's get started. As I mentioned, there's 3 1/2 inch pieces go on each side, and then 1/2 inch in the middle, and then 3 on the other side. So that meant 7 parts that are the same. Well, 6 that are the same. One that's a little bit different with the seat, with the missing seat. But what I did to save a little bit of cutting time is, rather than make 7 different cuts, I've got a 1 inch thick piece of poplar here, and I've got one of the pattern number 1 on that. That's going to make 2 pieces of number 1. I've got another one, the same thing, to make another 2. And then I've got 1/2 inch pieces, and these are held together with 2-sided tape, and on that I will make the 3 1/2 inch pieces that I need to finish up all those pieces for the part number 1. So I'm going to start with the 2 1 inch thick part number 1, and so remember, each one of these now is going to be, it's 1 inch thick, so it's making 2 1/2 inch thick pieces. And we're saving time cutting 2 at a time, and plus we know they're identical. I'm using a number 12 Pegasus modified geometry blade. That's the 1 inch thick piece number 1, so it's 2 pieces of number 1. The important thing to remember when you're making a cut like this is thick, and you're going to be tempted to push hard to get through it faster, but don't do that, because when you do, the blade flexes, and you'll end up with something that's not a 90-degree cut, and the top and the bottom dimensions won't be the same. They'll be different because of that. I'll come back and show you in a bit, but I now have the 7 of part number 1, and part number 2, which I didn't show you before, is there's also 2 1/2 inch pieces, and they're basically the same except they have the roof on them. So I'm going to cut these out next. It called for a 3/8 hole for the axles, but that made no sense to me because it's going to take 2 inch wheels, and 2 inch wheels take a 3/8 inch axle, and if you put a 3/8 inch axle into a 3/8 hole, it's not going to fit. Or maybe they're using axle pegs. I doubt it. Anyway, I'm going to use an axle, and I use a 7/16 drill bit, so I've got a little bit of room there, which is what you need, obviously. I think I'll start on the top here. The main pieces for the body are all cut. I got a lot of small pieces, some trim and such, and switch to number 5 blade for these. The parts are all cut. Time for the first part of the assembly. The instructions give you details on how to put the van together and also the order to put in which to put things together. The plans here tell you that stage 1 is to take the part number 1. Remember, there's 7 of them in the plans. I made it with 5 because I doubled up on 2 of them. But all but the center section are identical. The center section doesn't have the seat. So they need to be glued together. And I'm going to start there. I'm using white glue. I usually buy this by the gallon and then just reload these smaller dispensers. So I'm going to spread some glue on that part. Use a brush to spread it around a little bit. You can use your finger too if you got, this is a lot of parts I'm going to have to do though, so I'm actually going to use a brush for a change. If I only have a couple things, I'll use my finger. It's water based, so it washes off without any problem. It's also, the nice thing about the white glue is that it dries clear, so if there is any squeeze out, which there will be, it doesn't really show. We'll go with a 1 inch on the inside of that. When you're dealing with mirror images of pieces, sometimes you gotta think it through. I'm gonna put these all together right now anyway, but still. Alright, so that's the next one in the sequence. Now that's 1.5 inches, so the equivalent of 3 pieces. The next one is going to be that half piece in the middle, and remember this one doesn't have a seat on it, so when we're spreading the glue here, I'm not going to put any glue on the part that corresponds to the seat, and that'll be the other side. Now there's any number of ways you can clamp this. You could use pipe clamps, you could use F clamps. My experience with F clamps is that because you're turning a screw to get them tight, it sometimes makes the piece want to move, and they can be a little frustrating to deal with. So what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to do the bottom half of the glue up in a vise. It's a woodworking vise, so it's got the jaws won't do any damage to the piece. That will hold that together nicely. And then there's a little squeeze out here, might as well get that. Then I will use some F clamps to hold these top pieces together. So these are the part number 1 all glued together. Remember, I did it a little differently. It's rather than make 7 part number 1s at a 1/2 inch, I made 3 at a 1/2 inch and 2 at 1 inch. But anyway, it comes to the same thing. So that's ready to go. Now the next step is the next layer that goes on the outside is this one here. It's very similar, you can see, and but it goes a little lower, and that's where the places are for the axles. And this is what the page looks like in the plans. Alright, the next step is remember, I cut this part off the top there, and that attaches to the outside of the van. So we'll put some glue on there and clamp that. And you can see that this kind of a point, whatever you want to call it, meets up with that there. All right, I'll do the other side. Set those aside to dry, and we'll move on to the next step when those are ready. All right, that piece is dry, and the next couple things. At part number 4, there's 7 half-inch thick ones, and they meet like this. So you can see what's going to happen is this removable roof, the front will rest there. So what I'm going to do is, I think the easiest way to glue those together will be because they go right here. They go right here. I think the easiest thing is going to be to glue them in place there. And rather than glue them as a separate part and then try to glue them to this, I'll glue the first one to this and then so on until I get all the layers. Down to the last of the glue ups for the VW camper van. I've got one side glued on already. You can see how it looks there from the inside. And now I'm ready to put the last side on here. I just thought it was going to be easier to glue up doing one side at a time, so that's what I did. Put some glue on the appropriate parts here and then clamp it and let it sit and dry for a while. Then we'll move on to finishing. The van is complete. I decided on a light blue paint job, and I think it looks pretty nice. There's quite a bit of detail on this, really. There's a little stripe down the side here. I made those, I painted them a metallic color. There are front and back bumpers. I drew a little outline with a fine tip marker for the door. If I remember correctly, the Volkswagen camper van only had a middle door on the one side opposite the driver's side, so that'll be on the other side there. The top comes off like this, and there's the 2 front seats, and what you saw as I constructed them. So nice little item. Let me know what you think of the project. Is it something you'd like to try? If so, I'll give you the listing for the plans in the description. Please give me a thumbs up, and subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. In fact, leave me a comment if there are any particular types of projects you would like to see in future videos.